Dr. Amanda Wheeler stared at her holographic display for the third time that day, her eyes narrowing at the peculiar energy signatures emanating from Earth's moon. As a junior analyst for the Galactic Space Council's Development Assessment Division, she had reviewed hundreds of pre-FTL civilizations, but something about Earth's reading made her synthetic coffee go cold. Still obsessing over that backwater planet, Wheeler. High Counselor Zixtal's voice carried the distinctive multitonal resonance of the Arxian species. The tall, crystal-like being glided across the observatory floor, their translucent form refracting the soft blue light of the monitoring stations. "Sir, these readings don't match our historical data," Amanda said, pulling up comparative charts. "The lunar power signatures have changed. They're not just different, they're being masked." Zixtal's crystal segments shifted in what Amanda had learned was their version of dismissive laughter. Humans can barely maintain their orbital stations. Their last lunar base was abandoned 15 cycles ago. The readings are clearly equipment malfunction. The main chamber's doors parted with a soft hiss as other council members filed in for the scheduled assessment. Representatives from 23 advanced civilizations took their places around the circular chamber, their forms ranging from the gaseous Halaxians to the mechanical organic hybrid ventures. "Let us begin the 300th assessment of Solar System 2814, Planet Earth," First Speaker Nexus announced, their quantum-linked voice resonating through the chamber. "Junior Analyst Wheeler, present your findings." Amanda rose from her station, trying to keep her voice steady. "Earth continues to show signs of technological development, but their progress remains fragmented. Their space programs have shown a curious decline in the past decade, with several nations appearing to abandon previously ambitious projects." She paused, then added, "However, I've detected anomalies." Yes, interrupted Counselor Vex of the Halaxians, their gas forms swirling impatiently. "Another case of a species too busy fighting among themselves to achieve true progress. I move to maintain their current classification as a Level 2 pre-FTL civilization." "Seconded," came the immediate response from multiple council members. Amanda felt her opportunity slipping away. "But the lunar readings are inconclusive at best," Zixtal cut in smoothly. "The council has more pressing matters to address. The Praxian expansion in Sector 7 requires our immediate attention." First Speaker Nexus's quantum form flickered. "The motion to maintain Earth's classification has been seconded. All in favor." A chorus of agreements filled the chamber. Amanda watched helplessly as Earth's file was tagged for review in 50 standard cycles, nearly 3 Earth decades. As the council members began discussing the Praxian situation, Amanda returned to her station. She started when a small holographic message appeared on her display. "Meet me in Archive Section 7B after the session." 3 hours later, Amanda found herself in the dusty archives, surrounded by physical records that most council members considered obsolete. Liaison Officer Laura Martinez, one of the few other humans in the council's employment, waited between the towering shelves. "You saw something in those readings, didn't you?" Laura asked without preamble. Amanda nodded, pulling up the data on her portable display. "The power signatures, they're not random fluctuations. There's a pattern, but it's being deliberately obscured. Someone on Earth is using advanced energy masking technology that shouldn't exist at their development level." Laura's expression remained carefully neutral. "The council won't listen without concrete evidence. They're too set in their ways, too convinced of their own superiority. But if Earth has this technology, then everything we know about their development could be wrong," Laura finished. She glanced around before lowering her voice. "Keep monitoring those readings, Amanda. Document everything, no matter how small. And whatever you do, don't share your findings with anyone else on the council." As Amanda left the archives that day, She couldn't shake the feeling that she had stumbled onto something much bigger than a simple energy anomaly. In her quarters that night, she started a new encrypted file, titling it Lunar Anomalies. She had no way of knowing that she was recording the first signs of what would soon turn the galaxy's power structure upside down. Admiral James Blackwood's boots echoed through the crystalline corridors of Dark Phoenix Base, the lunar facility that officially didn't exist. Holographic displays lined the walls, showing real-time updates from Earth's network of stealth satellites, each one carefully monitoring the Council's observers while feeding them carefully crafted misinformation. Status report, Lieutenant Morrison. He called out, entering the main engineering bay, where the heart of Project Eclipse pulsed, with an energy that still amazed him, even after 15 years. Lieutenant Kate Morrison looked up from her quantum terminal, her eyes bright with excitement. Sir, the new shielding matrix just exceeded our highest projections. We're not just bending light around the hull. We're actually shifting it through subspace. In English, Lieutenant, Blackwood said, though a smile tugged at his lips. We're invisible even to technology that hasn't been invented yet, she replied, bringing up a holographic model of their creation. The Eclipse slowly rotated above the display table, its sleek lines hiding the most advanced weapon systems ever created by human hands. Chief Engineer Marcus Rodriguez approached, wiping grease from his hands. Admiral, you need to see this. Remember that power fluctuation issue we couldn't solve? Turns out those Council monitoring satellites were actually helping us hide it. Blackwood raised an eyebrow. Explain. Irregular scans create a kind of background noise, Rodriguez continued, pulling up the data. We've modified our systems to pulse in perfect opposition. When they look at the moon, their own scans cancel out our energy signature, using their own technology against them, Blackwood mused. Now that's poetry. A soft alarm chimed, and Security Chief Jessica Winter's voice came over the comm. Admiral, we've got movement. 3 Council survey ships just entered the system. Right on schedule, Blackwood said, checking his watch. Status of the masking field. Operating at 100%, Lieutenant Morrison reported. As far as they're concerned, we're still that abandoned mining facility that they documented 20 years ago. Blackwood moved to the command center, where dozens of officers monitored every aspect of the operation. On the main screen, the Council ships appeared as elegant, crystalline structures, beautiful, but predictable in their arrogance. Sir, Communications Officer Tyler Chen called out, you're going to want to see this. I just intercepted their transmission to the Council. They're actually laughing about Earth's failed space program. Let them laugh, Blackwood replied, his voice carrying across the silent command center. They've never understood humanity's greatest strength. We don't just learn from our failures. We turn them into advantages. In the testing chamber below, the Eclipse's quantum core hummed to life, its revolutionary hybrid drive system, combining technologies that the Council had deemed incompatible. They had never considered that their careful restrictions on technological development might actually inspire creative solutions. Time check, Blackwood called out. T-minus 72 hours until project completion. Morrison responded. All systems are green, and the Council's annual assessment is scheduled for exactly when we need it. Blackwood nodded, walking to the observation window that overlooked the massive construction bay. The Eclipse waited in its cradle, a testament to human determination and ingenuity. Its hull incorporated materials that shouldn't exist. Its weapons used principles that the Council had dismissed as theoretical, and its very existence proved that humanity had long since surpassed the limits others had set for them. Send word to the Coalition, he ordered. Operation Nightmare is proceeding as planned. When the Council meets to discuss Earth's primitive status, they'll find out just how wrong their assessments have been. As the command crew returned to their duties, Blackwood allowed himself a moment of reflection. 20 years of secrecy, of hiding their true capabilities, of watching council ships pass overhead while pretending to be nothing more than another struggling species. All of it had led to this moment. Soon, the galaxy would learn that humanity had never been as primitive as they believed. The eclipse wasn't just a warship, it was a message, and in 72 hours, that message would change everything. Captain Michael Reeves stood on the bridge of the eclipse, his heart pounding as the final launch sequence initiated. Through the advanced crystalline viewport, he could see the artificial cavern that had hidden their achievement from prying eyes beginning to split apart. "All stations, report," he commanded, his voice steady despite the historic moment unfolding around them. "Engineering ready." Technical Director David Harrison's voice came through clear. "Hybrid drive is hot. Quantum core is stable. She's ready to dance, Captain." "Weapons systems online," Lieutenant Sarah Parker reported from her station. "Defense grid active. All shield harmonics synchronized." "Tactical ready," Commander John Reynolds added. "Stealth systems operating at peak efficiency." The bridge crew worked with practiced precision as status reports continued to flow in. Above them, the last layers of their lunar deception were being stripped away. 20 years of preparation had led to this moment. "Sir," Communications Officer Mark Thompson called out, "the Council's emergency session is in progress. They're currently discussing the Praxian situation." Just as intelligence predicted, Reeves allowed himself a small smile. Perfect timing. Begin Phase 1. The Eclipse's quantum core thrummed to life, its unique energy signature finally unleashed at full power. Across the solar system, every Council monitoring device would be registering an impossible reading. "Council ships detecting our signature," Thompson reported, a hint of satisfaction in his voice. "Their emergency protocols are activating. 3 vessels have already changed course toward the moon." "Let them come," Reeves said. "Time to show them what humanity has been hiding." The massive lunar doors fully retracted, revealing the eclipse in all her glory. Nearly a mile long, her hull gleamed with an impossible material that bent light around it in ways that defied convention. The ship's design was unlike anything the galaxy had seen, a perfect fusion of human innovation and reversed-engineered Council technology. "Multiple Council transmissions detected," Thompson announced. They're demanding to know what we are." "Send no response," Reeves ordered. "Let's give them a moment to appreciate the view." On the Council's emergency monitors, the truth about Earth's technological level was becoming clear. The eclipse wasn't just advanced. It was beyond what their development restrictions should have allowed. Every scan they ran revealed another impossible achievement. "First Council response fleet approaching," Reynolds reported. 5 ships, Talon class. They're charging weapons. "Activate the Harrison field," Reeves commanded. The space around the eclipse shimmed as the revolutionary defense system engaged. Based on principles that the Council had deemed theoretically impossible, the Harrison field could redirect any known form of energy attack. "They're hailing us," Thompson said. "Now we response." Reeves nodded. "Put them through." The holographic display flickered to life, showing a panel of stunned Council representatives. High Councilor Zixtal's crystalline form seemed to vibrate with shock. "This is Captain Michael Reeves of the Earth ship Eclipse," he announced, standing tall. "We apologize for any alarm, but we felt it was time for a proper introduction." "This is impossible," one of the Council members sputtered. "Your species hasn't even mastered basic interplanetary travel." "About that," Reeves said, nodding to Harrison. "Perhaps a small demonstration is in order." The Eclipse's hybrid drive engaged, and in a maneuver that should have been impossible for a ship its size, it executed a perfect barrel roll around the approaching Council fleet. The movement was smooth, precise, and a clear message. Everything they thought they knew about human capabilities was wrong. "By Council law," Zixtal began, but Reeves cut them off. "We're quite familiar with council law," he said. "In fact, we've been studying it for decades. And according to Section 7, Subsection 12 of the Development Protocol, a species that demonstrates advanced technology of their own development is entitled to immediate review of their status." The silence that followed was deafening. Humanity had just changed the game, and everyone knew it. The Council's nightmare had come true. But they didn't yet realize that this was just the beginning. Commander Rachel Stone adjusted her dress uniform as she stood in the Grand Council chamber, the eyes of 23 species fixed upon her. Behind her, through the chamber's transparent walls, the eclipse hung in space like a silent guardian, its presence a constant reminder of how everything had changed. "You expect us to believe," Council Member Vex's gaseous form swirled agitatedly, "that humans developed this technology independently?" "Not independently," Rachel replied, her voice clear and confident. "We had excellent teachers. Your own surveillance systems, every probe you sent, every scanner you used, every piece of technology you so carelessly left in our reach, they all became our textbooks." Security Chief Thomas Rodriguez stood at her side, his tactical display showing the positions of Earth's hidden fleet. Dozens of stealth ships now surrounded key Council installations, though none knew it yet. "This is unprecedented," High Counselor Zixtel declared. "The development protocols exist for a reason. The power you wield could destabilize the entire galaxy." Rachel smiled, activating her holographic display. "Interesting you should mention destabilization." The display filled with documentation. Thousands of cases where the Council had manipulated developing civilizations. "Let's talk about the real reason for those protocols." The chamber erupted in chaos as classified information scrolled past. Species after species, planet after planet, all shaped by the Council's hidden hand. "How did you access these files?" First Speaker Nexus demanded, their quantum form fluctuating with distress. "The same way we accessed everything else." Rodriguez spoke for the first time. "You were so convinced of your superiority that you never considered a primitive species might be watching you back." Rachel walked forward, her steps echoing in the now silent chamber. "Here's what's going to happen. Earth is taking a seat on the Council, not as supplicants, but as equals. The development protocols will be rewritten, with safeguards against manipulation." "Or what?" Vex challenged. Rodriguez tapped his display, and suddenly every Council member's personal screen lit up with the locations of Earth's stealth fleet. The message was clear. The Empire of Secrets had been built on sand. "We don't make threats," Rachel said calmly. "We're offering a partnership. Humanity has achieved in decades what many of your species took centuries to develop. Not because we're superior, but because we think differently. We see connections where others see boundaries." She gestured to the eclipse. "That ship isn't just a warship. It's proof that your entire understanding of technological development is flawed. You've been so focused on controlling the flow of knowledge that you've forgotten the power of innovation." First Speaker Nexus floated forward. "And if we refuse your terms, then we release everything," Rodriguez said simply. "Every secret, every manipulation, every hidden agenda. Let the galaxy decide if your leadership has been worth the cost." The Council members exchanged glances. Centuries of careful control were crumbling before them, undone by a species they had dismissed as primitive. "We will need time to discuss this," Zixtel said finally. "You have 1 hour," Rachel replied. "Oh, and one more thing." She activated another hologram, showing a young human woman. Dr. Amanda Wheeler's findings about Earth's energy signatures. They should have been heard. She's going to head up a new joint development monitoring initiative, one that actually protects emerging civilizations instead of exploiting them. As the Council members filed out to deliberate, Rachel caught Rodriguez's eye. They both knew the hard part was just beginning. Humanity had earned its seat at the table, but now they had to prove they deserved it. The eclipse's silhouette cast a long shadow across the chamber floor, a reminder that sometimes the greatest changes come not from the biggest guns, but from the willingness to use them wisely. Out in space, the future of galactic politics hung in the balance, and humanity had just changed all the rules. Colonel Jack Bennett's footsteps echoed through the holographic chamber as he prepared to deliver the briefing that would change the galaxy's understanding of human innovation. The council members sat in stunned silence, still processing the revelations from the previous hour. "Ladies, gentlemen, and distinguished representatives," he began, his voice carrying the weight of 2 decades of secrecy. "Let me show you how a primitive species managed to surpass your most advanced technology." Dr. Emily Parker, head of xenotechnology, stepped forward with a series of holographic projections. "Your first mistake was assuming we couldn't detect your surveillance." The display showed hundreds of council monitoring devices, each one carefully mapped and studied. "Every scanner you sent became our blueprint," she continued. "Every probe became our teacher. While you watched us struggle with basic rocket technology, we were reverse engineering your own devices." The chamber filled with images of Earth's true technological progress. Hidden facilities across the solar system showed humans working with technologies that the Council had deemed impossible for their development level. "But how?" High Counselor Zixtol demanded. "Our systems were encrypted, protected by algorithms we cracked 5 years ago," Bennett cut in. "You see, while you were watching our military conflicts with disdain, we were learning something you've forgotten. Innovation born of necessity." Dr. Parker brought up the schematics of the Eclipse. "This ship isn't just advanced. It's a testament to human ingenuity. We didn't just copy your technology. We improved it. Your energy fields had limitations, so we created hybrid systems. Your quantum drives were efficient but inflexible, so we made them adaptive." The council representatives leaned forward as she highlighted various systems, each one a fusion of council technology and human innovation. The Harrison field, the adaptive hull matrix, the quantum neural interface, all of them represented leaps beyond current galactic technology. "Impossible," one of the Halaxian representatives whispered. "These systems should conflict with each other. The power requirements alone are handled by our greatest achievement," Bennett said, nodding to Dr. Parker. The hologram shifted to show the Eclipse's core, the synthesis drive. "It doesn't just power the ship, it harmonizes technologies that you thought were incompatible." The display showed how human engineers had taken principles from a dozen different alien technologies and woven them together in ways the Council had never imagined. Where they saw boundaries, humanity had seen opportunities. "But the most important truth," Bennett continued, his voice growing serious, "is why we built it this way. The Eclipse isn't a weapon of war, it's a shield. While you were busy maintaining your power through control and manipulation, we were watching how you treated developing civilizations." The hologram changed again, showing dozens of worlds where the Council's interference had stunted natural development. "We built our first warship not to fight you, but to protect others from becoming what we almost did, puppets dancing to your strings." Dr. Parker stepped forward again. Every system on the Eclipse was designed with a dual purpose. The same technology that makes us invisible to your sensors can shield a developing world from detection. Our weapons can disable without destroying. Even our communication systems were built to break through your information blockades. The chamber fell silent as the full impact of these revelations sank in. Humanity hadn't just caught up to Council technology. They'd reimagined it with a purpose the Council had long since forgotten. "So now you know the truth," Bennett concluded. "The question is, what will you do with it? Because while the Eclipse may be our first ship to reveal itself, I can assure you, it's not our only one. The implications hung in the air like a physical presence. Humanity had not only mastered the Council's technology, but had found ways to use it that its original creators had never considered. The galaxy's balance of power hadn't just shifted. It had been fundamentally transformed. Ambassador William Crawford's polished shoes clicked against the crystalline floor as he approached the central negotiation table. Behind him, through the vast windows of the Council's orbital station, the Eclipse performed a series of maneuvers that should have been impossible for a ship its size. Impressive display, First Speaker Nexus commented, their quantum form shifting uneasily, though one might consider it an intimidation tactic. Not intimidation. Vice Admiral Maria Hernandez replied from her position beside Crawford. Education. What you're seeing is the Eclipse's neural-linked defense system in action. Those maneuvers are actually a response to potential attack vectors, including 3 hidden weapon platforms. This station just powered up. The Council members shifted uncomfortably. Hernandez tapped her datapad, and a holographic display sprang to life above the table, showing the station's previously secret defenses. "Let's be direct," Crawford said, his voice carrying the weight of Earth's combined nations. "We're here to negotiate a new framework for galactic relations, not to trade threats." The Eclipse is a demonstration of what happens when you force a species to develop in secret, but it's also proof of what we can achieve together. He gestured to the display, which now showed various technological innovations. These are problems your scientists have been struggling with for centuries. Climate control for Class 4 worlds, quantum communication across dark space, sustainable antimatter production. We've solved them all. And you expect us to believe you'll share these solutions. High Counselor Zixtel's crystal form refracted light in patterns of disbelief. "We already are," Hernandez said, changing the display again. "While we've been talking, the Eclipse has been broadcasting the basic principles behind these technologies on an open channel. Knowledge shouldn't be a currency to hoard." The chamber erupted in chaos as Council members received confirmation of the broadcast. Centuries of carefully controlled technological development had just been upended in minutes. "This is outrageous." A Halaxian representative's gaseous form swirled in agitation. "The development protocols are obsolete," Crawford cut in. "They were never about protection. They were about control. We're offering something better. True cooperation." He stood, activating a new hologram. This one showed a network of stellar nurseries, each one housing developing civilizations. "Our proposal is simple. A new council, one that actually protects and nurtures growing species instead of exploiting them. The Eclipse and her sister ships will serve as guardians, not conquerors." "Sister ships?" several council members asked in unison. Hernandez smiled. "Did you think we only built one?" The Eclipse was just the first to reveal itself. Earth's fleet is already in position throughout the galaxy, watching, protecting, and gathering data on your activities. Crawford raised his hand as the council members began to protest. "We're not here to take over. We're here to fix what's broken. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology. It's our ability to learn from our mistakes. And right now, the galaxy is making a massive one by stifling natural development." He pulled up the final display, a comprehensive plan for reforming the Council. "These are our terms: equal representation, transparent development protocols, protection for emerging species, and most importantly, an end to the manipulation of developing worlds." "And if we refuse?" Zixtal asked, though their tone suggested they already knew the answer. "Then we continue broadcasting," Hernandez said simply. "Every secret, every hidden technology, every suppressed innovation. The galaxy learns the truth, all at once. Evolution can be guided, but it can't be controlled forever." The council chamber fell silent as the weight of the moment settled over them. Through the windows, The eclipse completed its dance, coming to rest in a position that somehow managed to look both protective and threatening. Crawford looked at each council member in turn. The choice is yours. But remember, we built our first warship not because we wanted to fight, but because we saw what happens to those who can't defend themselves. Don't make us prove why that was necessary. The negotiation had begun, and with it, the future of the galaxy hung in the balance. Director Robert Turner stood at the podium in the newly redesigned council chamber, where representatives from both established and emerging civilizations now sat together. The room had been transformed from its former crystalline austerity into a space that celebrated diversity, with elements from hundreds of cultures blending seamlessly. 6 months ago, he began, we revealed the eclipse to the galaxy. Today, we reveal something far more important, the results of our first joint development initiative. Dr. Jennifer Hayes, Chief Science Officer of the Eclipse, stepped forward. The holographic display behind her came to life, showing a network of interconnected research stations spread across the galaxy. What you're seeing, she explained, is the future of collaborative innovation. Each of these stations combines human adaptability with council resources. The results have exceeded even our most optimistic projections. The display shifted to show a series of breakthrough technologies. A Halaxian scientist floated forward, their gaseous form practically vibrating with excitement. Impossible, they whispered. The quantum barrier problem. You've solved it. We did, Hayes confirmed. Or rather, we did together. Your understanding of quantum mechanics combined with our unconventional approach to energy distribution. The solution was always there. We just had to stop working in isolation. Turner brought up another display, this one showing the Eclipse's sister ships working alongside council vessels. Each human warship had been modified, their weapon systems replaced with advanced research and defense capabilities. The Eclipse was never meant to be a symbol of war, he said. It was a wake-up call, a reminder that progress doesn't follow a linear path. When you try to control evolution, you don't prevent chaos. You just make it inevitable. From her seat in the chamber, a young Praxian representative raised her hand. But how do we prevent technological misuse without the old protocols? Hayes smiled. By teaching rather than restricting. Watch this. She activated a live feed from a development zone, where a pre-FTL civilization was making its first steps into space. Instead of hidden surveillance, we now have open observation, she explained. The Eclipse and her sister ships don't just watch, they protect. When this species reaches for the stars, they'll find teachers, not controllers. The chamber erupted in discussion as more results were displayed. Diseases that had plagued multiple species for generations, solved through combined research. Environmental disasters averted through shared technology. Ancient enemies finding common ground in joint projects. This is why we built the Eclipse, Turner continued. Not to prove our superiority, but to break down the walls that kept us apart. Human innovation combined with council resources has created something neither of us could have achieved alone. A Ventures representative, their mechanical organic form humming with interest, spoke up. The energy output of these new systems, it defies our previous understanding. Because your previous understanding was limited by artificial constraints, Hayes responded. We didn't just think outside the box. We questioned why the box existed in the first place. Every impossible breakthrough came from asking questions that the old council would have forbidden. Turner gestured to the Eclipse, visible through the chamber's windows. That ship was built in secret because we had to. But everything we create from now on will be built together, in the open, for the benefit of all. The chamber, once a place of rigid hierarchy and careful control, now buzzed with the energy of unrestricted innovation. Species that had once viewed each other with suspicion now collaborated freely, each contributing their unique perspectives to solve problems that had once seemed insurmountable. The galaxy is changing, Turner concluded, not because of human technology or council resources, but because we finally learned to work together. The eclipse showed us what we could achieve in secret. Imagine what we can do in the light. As the session ended, the eclipse performed a new maneuver, a complex dance that incorporated movement patterns from every major species in the council. It was more than a display of technology. It was a symbol of what the galaxy could become when ancient barriers finally fell. Fleet Admiral Alexandra Sullivan watched from the eclipse's bridge as the massive ship glided into position above a young civilization's homeworld. This was the 100th emerging species they'd helped protect since the Revolution, and each one reinforced the importance of their mission. "Status report," she called out, her eyes fixed on the beautiful blue-green planet below. "All systems normal." Captain Ryan Cooper responded from his station. "The Harrison field is active, and our presence remains undetected by the indigenous population. Their first satellite launch is scheduled for tomorrow." Dr. Amanda Wheeler, now director of the Emergence Protection Division, stepped onto the bridge. Her journey from dismissed junior analyst to one of the most respected figures in galactic politics symbolized everything the new era stood for. "Their development is remarkable," she said, pulling up the planet's data. "They've achieved in 50 years what most species take centuries to accomplish. Reminds me of another species we know." Sullivan smiled. "That's why we're here. To make sure they have the same chance we did, without the need for secrecy." The bridge crew worked in perfect harmony, a mix of human and alien officers united in purpose. Through the view screen, they could see several cloaked council ships taking up supporting positions around the planet. Former High Counselor Zixtal's ship is requesting permission to dock, Communications Officer Maria Chen announced. "They say they have an update on the Praxian initiative." "Permission granted," Sullivan replied. "It's still hard to believe sometimes. The same council member who once dismissed Earth as primitive now leads our Joint Research Division." Wheeler brought up a galactic map showing hundreds of protected worlds, each one developing at its own pace under the watchful eye of the new council. "We've come so far in just 2 years. Every world under our protection has shown unprecedented growth without any of the internal conflicts that usually come with rapid development." "Incoming transmission from Earth Command," Chen called out. "The new Singapore facility is ready for activation." The holographic display showed the latest achievement of human council cooperation, a massive research center dedicated to solving the galaxy's greatest challenges. Teams from 100 different species worked together, each contributing their unique perspective to problems that had once seemed insurmountable. "Remember when they thought we were just a primitive war-prone species?" Cooper asked, chuckling. "Now they're using our aggressive innovation as a template for developmental psychology." Sullivan moved to the center of the bridge as Zixtal's crystalline form emerged from the lift. "Welcome aboard, old friend. I trust the Praxian project is proceeding well." Beyond all expectations, Zixtal's multi-tone voice carried a warmth that would have been unimaginable in the old council days. Their quantum engineering principles, combined with human adaptive algorithms, "We've achieved what I once would have called impossible." Wheeler's console chimed, drawing their attention. "Speaking of impossible, the first data from the Dark Space Expedition just came in. The Eclipse's sister ships have mapped previously unknown regions of space. We found 3 more developing civilizations that need protection." "Alert the fleet," Sullivan ordered, "and notify the Development Council. It's time to expand our protection network." As the orders were carried out, Sullivan took a moment to appreciate how far they'd come. The Eclipse, once built in secret as humanity's defense against exploitation, had become a symbol of hope throughout the galaxy. Its very existence had transformed the Council from controllers into guardians, from manipulators into mentors. "New contact," Cooper announced. The species below just launched their first satellite. They watched as the tiny machine rose through the atmosphere, a testament to yet another species taking their first steps into the cosmos. But unlike those who had come before, this species would find not manipulation and control, but guidance and protection. "Send the standard message," Sullivan said softly. "Welcome to the stars. You're not alone, and you never will be." The Eclipse's lights dimmed slightly as its advanced systems ensured the message would be received only when the species was ready. In the darkness of space, humanity's greatest achievement continued its eternal watch, a guardian not of secrets now, but of dreams. The Council's nightmare had become the galaxy's greatest hope.